Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are heading into the fog. We are going back to 19th century London to look at a book that I think everyone thinks they know.
But maybe doesn't really remember.
Exactly. We're talking about Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist.
A classic. And you're right, it's one of those stories that's been adapted so many times,
Mm.
into musicals, cartoons, movies,
Yeah,
that the original text gets buried under all these layers of top culture.
totally. When I told a friend I was preparing for this, they immediately started humming a song from the musical. They just pictured this cute kid with a smudge on his nose.
Mm-hmm.
But when I actually opened the source material you sent over, wow, this is not a happy book.
It really isn't.
It is a dark, gritty crime thriller. I mean, it's got kidnapping, murder, this whole conspiracy. The underworld feels genuinely dangerous.
It does.
So our mission today is to strip away that musical version and uncover the real story. We're going to track Oliver's journey through what the text calls the machinery of the system.
And that word machinery is so key. Dickens wasn't just writing a story about a sad orphan. He was writing a critique of the institutions that were supposed to help the poor, but ended up just crushing them.
So let's start at the beginning. Part 1. The system versus the child. The story opens in a workhouse, and it doesn't start with Oliver being 9 years old. It starts with his actual birth.
Right. A young woman is found lying in the street. She's brought into the workhouse, gives birth to a boy, and then dies almost immediately. She's a complete unknown.
A Jane Doe.
Exactly. No name, no ring, no history.
And the way the system treats this baby is just so cold. The authorities name him Oliver Twist by basically scrolling down an alphabetical list.
It shows you how industrial the whole process of charity was. He isn't a person to them. He's inventory.
Mm.
He's letter T.
Wow.
And the text explains how they try to get rid of him. He's farmed out to a branch workhouse run by a woman named Mrs. Mann.
So in today's terms, we'd probably call this foster care. The parish gives Mrs. Mann a weekly stipend money that's supposed to feed and clothe the kids.
On paper, yes. It looks like a solution.
But it's not.
No, because Dickens is showing us the reality of privatization without any oversight. Mrs. Mann realizes the stipend is a fixed amount. So if she spends less on the children...
She keeps the difference. It's a profit margin.
Precisely. She starves them, she keeps them in rags. The text is very clear about her avarice. She is turning a profit on these children's misery. If they die, she buries them cheap and keeps the change.
That's horrifying. So Oliver survives this somehow, and at age 9, he's moved back to the main workhouse. Which brings us to the most famous scene in the book.
The, "Please, sir, I want some more" moment.
Yes. But reading the summary, the context is so different from what I expected. I always thought Oliver was this, plucky, rebellious little hero standing up to the man.
And that's not it at all.
Not at all.
No, it's not heroism. It's the madness of hunger. The text describes the boys as being voracious. I mean, they are slowly starving to death on one ladle of gruel a day.
There's that terrifying detail where one boy says he might eat the boy next to him.
Yes, that's the fear. The hunger was driving them insane. So the boys hold a council. And it's not a protest, it's a lottery. They cast lots to see who has to be the one to go up and ask for more food.
So Oliver didn't volunteer.
No, he lost the bet. He was the sacrificial lamb.
That changes the entire energy of the scene. He's not standing tall, he's terrified.
He's shaking. He walks up to the master, desperate, and just whispers the line. And the reaction from the institution is, well, it's fascinating. The master hits him, of course, but the board, these wealthy gentlemen in white waistcoats, they're morally offended.
They act like he just committed a terrible crime.
They see his hunger as a character flaw. They immediately lock him up and put a sign on the gate offering £5 to anyone who will take him away. They're literally selling the child.
And he almost gets sold to a chimney sweep, a Mr. Gamfield.
That's such a crucial what-if moment. Chimney sweeping was a death sentence for boys. They were forced up these narrow hot flues. They'd get stuck or suffocate. And the board is haggling with Gamfield, trying to lower the price.
They're bargaining over the cost of his likely death.
Exactly. The only thing that saves him is a magistrate who just happens to look up, sees the sheer terror on Oliver's face, and refuses to sign the papers.
So instead of the chimney, he goes to the undertaker, Mr. Sowerberry.
Which is a step up, physically, I suppose, but psychologically it's so grim he sleeps among the coffins. But the real problem there isn't the undertaker. It's Noah Claypole.
The charity boy.
Right. Noah is just one step above Oliver on the social ladder, and he needs someone to look down on. So he bullies Oliver relentlessly.
And this leads to the moment where Oliver finally snaps. Noah insults his dead mother. He calls her a wretch.
And this is where we see the true nature of Oliver. Despite being starved and beaten his whole life, he has this innate sense of honor. He just explodes. He attacks Noah. But of course, the adults, Mrs. Sowerberry, Mr. Bumble, they side with the bully.
Oliver gets beaten and locked in a dark cellar.
And that's the breaking point. He waits for morning, escapes, and starts walking. He walks 70 miles to London.
A 70-mile trek for a starving 9-year-old. He must have been practically dead on his feet.
He was.
And this brings us to part 2. The school of crime. Because the first person to show him any kindness is Jack Dawkins, the artful dodger.
The devil waiting at the crossroads. Dodger sees this vulnerable target, buys him ham and bread, which is probably the first decent meal the kid has had in weeks, and invites him to a place where he can sleep for free.
And Oliver, being completely naive, just thinks, wow, what a nice guy.
He has no reason not to.
So he follows him into the slums, into this dark, smoke-filled house, and he meets Fagin.
The description of Fagin is iconic. This old man standing over a fire, frying sausages, holding a toasting fork, surrounded by all these boys smoking pipes. To Oliver, it looks like a sanctuary.
He sees them playing what he thinks are games, pulling handkerchiefs out of pockets.
And he thinks it's a literal game. He doesn't realize he's in a boot camp for thieves. He has no concept of the criminal underworld. He thinks Fagin is some kind of generous old gentleman.
The reality check hits hard. Fagin sends Oliver out on a job with Dodger and Charlie Bates. They go to a bookstall.
And Oliver watches as Dodger picks an old gentleman's pocket.
And he just freezes. The illusion shatters. He realizes, oh no, I'm with thieves.
But the actual thieves run away. The victim, Mr. Brownlow, sees Oliver standing there looking guilty and yells, "Stop, thief!" And suddenly the whole street is chasing Oliver.
It's that mob mentality again. He gets caught, dragged before a magistrate named Mr. Fang.
Dickens is not subtle with the names.
Not at all. And Fang tries to sentence him to hard labor without even listening to the evidence. But the bookseller steps in and clears his name.
Mr. Brownlow realizes his mistake and takes Oliver home. And you get this massive shift in tone. Oliver wakes up in Pentonville, clean sheets, silence, good food.
It's the first time he's been treated like a human being. And while he's recovering, we get the first real clue to the mystery. The portrait.
The painting on the wall. Oliver stares at it, and Mr. Brownlow stares at Oliver, and they both feel this strange connection.
The resemblance.
It's uncanny. But just as we think Oliver is finally safe, the machinery pulls him back in. Brownlow sends him on an errand, trusts him with some books, and a 5-pound note.
And he never makes it. He gets grabbed in the street by Nancy and Bill Sykes.
And they drag him right back to Fagin's den. They strip him of his new clothes, put him back in rags, and steal the money.
But the whole feeling in the den has changed. It's not just about pickpocketing anymore. We're introduced to the conspiracy. We meet a man named Monks.
Part 3, the conspiracy. Monks is a different kind of villain. He's not a street thug like Sykes or a fence like Fagin. Yeah. He's shadowy, well-dressed, and he is obsessed with Oliver.
This is what I wanted to dig into. Because Monks gives Fagin very specific instructions. He doesn't just want Oliver dead. He wants Oliver criminalized. Why?
And that is the psychological horror of the book. Monks tells Fagin that he wants to see Oliver dragged through the mud. He wants to corrupt his soul. It's a nature versus nurture experiment. Monks needs to believe that Oliver has bad blood.
So if he can turn him into a felon...
He proves that Oliver is trash, just like he always believed. It feels deeply personal. And he's paranoid. There's a scene where he's talking to Fagin and thinks he sees a woman's shadow listening to them. He's haunted.
So, to push this corruption plan forward, the gang forces Oliver into a serious crime. Part 4. The heist. Why do they need him for this?
Sykes is planning to rob a country house in Chertsey. But the house is well fortified. The only way in is a tiny lattice window. They need a small boy who can be squeezed through to unlock the door from the inside.
And instead puts a pistol to Oliver's head and shoves him through.
And this is Oliver's moral test. He's inside, he could unlock the door. But he decides, in that split second, that he's going to raise the alarm instead. He plans to scream.
Knowing Sykes might shoot him for it.
Absolutely. But he doesn't get the chance. The servants are already awake. There's a flash, a bang. Oliver gets shot.
Chaos.
Total chaos. Sykes drags the bleeding boy back out, tries to carry him, but the pursuit is too hot. He thinks Oliver's dying, so he just dumps him in a ditch and runs.
So cold-blooded. But Oliver survives. He wakes up, delirious, and stumbles back to the very house he tried to rob.
Which is an incredible twist. And this is where the story shifts again. The Mayleys, Mrs. Mayley and her niece Rose, they take him in. The doctor realizes Oliver isn't a hardened criminal. and they actually conspire to hide the fact that he was the burglar to save him from prison.
The summary mentions Oliver spends months with them in the countryside. Why so much time on this part?
It's crucial for the contrast. Dickens describes the flowers, the peace, the quiet. For months, Oliver lives a life of love and calm. It proves Monk's wrong. Oliver isn't bad blood.
But Dickens doesn't let us get too comfortable.
Not at all. There's a terrifying scene where Oliver wakes up from a nap near a window and sees Fagin and Monk staring at him from the garden.
Like a jump scare in a horror movie.
It shatters the peace. It tells you that no matter how far Oliver runs, the conspiracy is still hunting him.
Speaking of which, we need to check back in on the workhouse. Part 5, the evidence. While Oliver is, picking flowers, Monks is digging up the past.
Right. Monks tracks down Mr. Bumble. Now, Bumble has married the matron, Mrs. Corney, and it's a miserable marriage. Monks wants to know about a nurse named Old Sally, who attended Oliver's mother on her deathbed.
And they meet in this rotting, derelict building by the river. The atmosphere is just disgusting.
It fits the transaction.
Yeah.
Mrs. Bumble reveals that she stole something from Old Sally's dead hand, a small gold locket and a ring. The ring has the name Agnes engraved on it.
The smoking gun, the proof of who Oliver is.
And Monks knows it. He pays them, takes the jewelry, ties it to a heavy lead weight, and drops it through a trapdoor into the rushing river below.
He thinks he's destroyed the evidence.
He thinks, that's it, Oliver is a nobody forever.
But he forgot about the human element. He forgot about Nancy.
Part 6. The climax. Nancy is such a complex character. She's a thief, she deals with the abusive Bill Sikes, but she has a conscience. She overhears Monks and Fagin talking.
And she puts it all together. She realizes Monks is actually Oliver's half-brother.
Exactly. And she learns that Monks is trying to cheat Oliver out of his inheritance. So Nancy knows she has to act. She waits until Sikes is asleep, drugs him with laudanum, and sneaks out.
She meets Rose Maley and Mr. Brownlow on London Bridge. The tension in this scene is just, it's palpable. Yeah. Midnight, fog, the Black River.
She tells them everything. She describes Monks, the mark on his throat, everything. But, and this is what makes her so tragic, she refuses to give up Fagin or Sikes.
She won't betray them.
She says, I am chained to them. She has this code of loyalty even to the people who are destroying her.
But that loyalty doesn't save her, because Fagin didn't trust her.
No. He hired Noah Claypole, the bully from the Undertakers, to spy on her. Noah is hiding under the bridge. He hears every word.
He runs back to Fagin, and Fagin, he doesn't kill Nancy himself. He weaponizes the information. He tells Bill Sikes, and he twists the knife, telling Sikes that Nancy peached on him.
He unleashes a monster. Sikes goes into a blind rage. He storms home. The murder of Nancy is one of the darkest scenes in all of literature. She wakes up, sees the look in his eyes, and begs for mercy.
But he doesn't listen.
He beats her to death with a pistol and a club.
It's horrifying, but the aftermath. Sikes doesn't just get away with it. He's instantly haunted.
The psychological collapse of Bill Sikes is profound. He flees London, but he feels like the corpse is following him. The text says he keeps seeing the eyes of Nancy staring at him into the darkness.
He can't escape his own guilt. He ends up trapped on Jacob's Island, a filthy slum, cornered by a mob.
He climbs onto the roof. He plans to lower himself down with a rope to escape. He loops it around a chimney and under his arms. But as he looks up, he thinks he sees her eyes again. He panics. He slips.
And the rope tightens.
He accidentally hangs himself. A gruesome accidental death that feels like divine intervention.
The city itself took him out, so Sikes is dead, the gang is rounded up, Fagin is arrested. Which brings us to part 7, the resolution. Mr. Brownlow captures Monks, and finally, we get the truth.
Okay, it's a bit intricate, so let's break it down. Mr. Brownlow was best friends with a man named Edwin Leeford. Edwin was unhappily married, and they had a son, Edward Leeford, who we know as Monks.
Okay, so Monks is the legitimate son.
Right. But Edwin fell in love with a young girl named Agnes Fleming. They had a child together, Oliver. Edwin died suddenly, but he left a will.
And this will is the key to Monks's entire motivation.
Yes. The will stated that Oliver would inherit a significant fortune, but only if, in his minority, he never stained his name with any public act of dishonor, meanness, cowardice, or wrong.
That explains everything. That's why he wanted him criminalized.
Exactly. If Oliver became a pickpocket, the will would be void, and Monks would get all the money. It wasn't just hatred, it was pure greed.
That is diabolical. But because Oliver stayed pure, the money is his. And there's one more twist, right? With Rose Maley.
Yes. It turns out Rose is actually Agnes Fleming's younger sister, which makes her Oliver's aunt.
So in the end, he's not just adopted by Brownlow. He is reunited with his actual flesh and blood.
It's a total restoration of identity. He goes from a no-name orphan to a wealthy heir with a loving family.
And the bad guys. Sykes is dead. Fagin is executed. But what about the Bumbles? I feel like we need to talk about them.
Dickens delivers perfect poetic justice. Because of their role in the conspiracy, they lose their positions, they fall into poverty, and in the end, they become inmates in the very same workhouse they used to rule over.
That is so satisfying. From holding the ladle to begging for the ladle.
Dickens leaves no loose ends.
So we've unpacked the plot. But looking at Oliver Twist as a whole, what's the big takeaway? Why does this story still matter?
I think it matters because it questions the nature of evil. Monks, Fagin, the workhouse board, they all believed that bad environments make bad people. They thought they could crush Oliver into becoming a criminal. But the book argues that there is an innate resilience in the human spirit.
He walks through hell, but he doesn't become a devil.
No, the system failed to break him. It suggests that while the machinery of society can be cruel, individual morality and individual kindness, like Brownlow's or Nancy's, can still triumph.
That's a powerful thought.
It is.
Well, there you have it, Oliver Twist. It's a lot darker, a lot more complex, and definitely more thrilling than I expected.
It's a masterpiece for a reason.
I want to leave you with a thought today. We talked about how the villains in this story met ends that were perfectly tailored to their vices. Sykes by violence, monks by greed, the Bumbles by the poverty they mocked. If you were to write a story about our modern world, who would the villains be? And more importantly, what would their poetic justice look like? How would the story of our time write their ending?
That is a provocative question.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you on the next one.